Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is your friendly neighborhood Slytherin, Ren. Do you guys want like a nickname or something? Should I call you like, I don't know, my baby snakes? But I don't know though, because I'm not really that comfortable with like the mother role. Mother knows this. I would rather be more of your big sis, your Slytherin bestie, something like that. Because like not necessarily everyone that's watching this is younger than me either. So anyway, I'll work that out later. Today, I wanted to come on here and talk to you about the absolutely mind-blowingly transformative power of the word and. Yes, A-N-D, ampersand.
Conjunction, junction, what's their function?
And that's an additive like this and that.
So innocuous, so unassuming, such a short, small word, and yet you probably have no idea how mind-blowingly powerful this one little word is until today, because I'm about to break it down for you. Okay, so limiting beliefs. This is the Achilles heel in everybody's side. Even people who are like more advanced manifestors, farther along in their self-work journey, we are all constantly tearing down old beliefs, replacing them with newer, better ones. Throughout the entire process of growing and ascending to higher and higher levels, we will inevitably continue to have to replace our old beliefs, whatever doesn't serve us anymore, with new ones again and again. Because at the end of the day, all beliefs are limiting beliefs as long as we live on this earthly plane. So if you think about it, it doesn't really matter how far along you are on the continuum of enlightenment or whatever you want to call it compared to the next person. It doesn't matter whether you're farther ahead or behind this other person, because at the end of the day, we're all essentially working towards the same goal. We're trying to just get to the next level for us, right? So where are you at right now with your beliefs? Take a moment to sit with yourself and take stock. Is it, I'm too old to start a new career or get married, I don't fit the beauty standards so I can't do XYZ, I'm not educated or qualified enough to make $1 million. Whatever it happens to be for you, whatever the big stubborn things that are popping up are, what if I told you that you only need one word to completely turn those beliefs, those mental prisons of your own making, inside out and upside down, just by using the word and. I don't want to say it's necessarily like a weapon per se, but you can think of it as an antidote of sorts, an all-purpose universal type of antidote that pretty much works to combat any sort of negative or limiting belief that comes up for you. You can think of it as a weapon too, to be honest. Like if that helps you more, right? If there are some particularly stubborn and ingrained beliefs in you that you really just need to choose violence on, then choose violence. I give you full permission to choose energetic violence if you need to, if it comes to that. So you're probably sitting there like, what are you talking about, Ren? What are you getting at? Like, how do I use the word and as some sort of spiritual antidote? Okay, I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna break it down to a literal science. So listen up. Every time you find yourself unconsciously thinking or going towards a limiting belief about yourself, what you're capable of, what you're not allowed to do, usually, or like almost always, it's only what you perceive that you can't do, or you think it's just not available to you because of whatever XYZ imaginary reason. That's not actually like a real reason. It's not true. It's not a universal truth. It's just what somebody or society conditioned you to believe. Just replace the word but or whatever other limiting word or phrase substitute for but with the word and then feel the resistance, like the literal tightness in your chest, you know, the heaviness on your shoulders. Feel that just melt away. It is literal magic, okay? I'm not even being dramatic. What we're doing here, what I'm having you do, is we are literally recoding our minds and our beliefs. Because the old codes in there are shitty, okay? They're not getting us anywhere. Even if they worked for a while in the past, it's like, all right, cool, that was a time and place, but you're always going to keep growing. The world's consciousness is going to keep evolving as well. So there's always going to be a point where you have to keep upgrading too, right? It's kind of like those annoying little pop-up notifications that you get on your computer where it's like, oh, you have to upgrade to the new OS operating system 10.8 and your computer is only at a 10.7. Do you want to do it now or later in 3 days? And you keep pressing the later button because you're like, what the hell? I literally just upgraded it last week to 10.7. So you keep pressing the later button like, go away, but eventually what do? You have to upgrade to the 10.8, the newer version, right? You know, eventually all of the applications and whatever in everything in your system, in order for them to keep running smoothly, they have to run on the newest, shiniest, most efficient operating system. So you might as well learn to do it sooner than later. So I want you guys to do an exercise with me, a challenge if you will. Take out your journal, not the Miffy strawberry journal, okay? She did not come to play. Can you see this design? Because it's kind of getting washed out. Speaking of Miffy, sorry to go on a tangent, but I noticed that this year in particular, like as of late, I have been seeing a lot more Miffy products than usual in the stores. And now don't get me wrong, Miffy has always been a kawaii cultural mainstay. She is right up there with Hello Kitty and Pikachu and all of them in terms of her kawaii status in Japan, which by the way, Miffy is not actually Japanese origin though. Did you know that? Miffy was created by a Dutch artist, I believe, named Dick Bruna. Kawaii has nothing to do with nationality, okay? It's just if you're in the club, you're in the club. Just throwing that out there. But yeah, I was just noticing like in recent days in particular, it almost seems like I can't walk 2 steps in a department store without coming across some sort of Miffy collaboration or new stationery collection, new makeup collection. And then I remembered that, oh yeah, 2023 is the year of the bunny in Chinese zodiac, or the lunar zodiac. So that makes a lot of sense. And I feel like it's pretty much guaranteed that Miffy products, Miffy themed goods are probably going to have their biggest profit margin in a while this year. Pretty much know this for a fact because we take our Chinese zodiac animals very seriously here. Okay, so let's take out our notebooks. Yours doesn't necessarily have to be a Miffy one, of course, but I highly recommend. I mean, it's just such a classic, cute design. How can you go wrong when you manifest from a Miffy notebook? How can I lose when I'm already chose? Like,
how can I lose if I'm already chose? Like,
focus, Ren, focus. Okay, so before filming this video, I actually sat down and I wrote out about 20 and statements, just riffing on a natural flow of my own thoughts that I recognize as not being universal truths, but just my own limiting beliefs. So this is a very simple yet very effective exercise that I invite you all to do with me to literally recode, reprogram your mind. And don't worry, by the way, if you don't immediately take to or 100% believe in the new codes that you come up with on a conscious or even deeper level. That is totally normal. You know, if you believed or were taught one thing for your entire life for the past 2 or 3 decades, women shouldn't do this or that, and then all of a sudden you're trying to say the opposite, like, well, I'm a woman and I'm gonna do A, B, C, and D, there might be some dissonance there, right? That's totally fine. You know, it's actually good because it's proof that there's some sort of chemical reaction taking place within you. It's basically like you're moving into that upgrade phase. You know, when you're upgrading your computer, you press yes to that pop-up notification and you have to wait an hour, or sometimes you even have to restart your whole computer. It's a whole process, right? And you're going to experience basically the spiritual equivalent to that when you start to upgrade or reprogram your mind. Again, totally fine. Enjoy the ride. Don't freak out. The important part though, okay, listen carefully. Your only action that you have to take in all of this is that you have to get the process started. So that's exactly what we're doing when we choose to do an exercise like this, to consciously, like deliberately start recoding our limiting thoughts, which of course there are many different ways to do so, but in this video I am focusing on the simple and statements. Just a little quick explanation of why I like to use and this method and why I believe it's so effective for beginners before I go any further. So you can obviously manifest by saying a more regular affirmation. For example, if you believe that you can't make a lot of money. Oh, it's hard for me to make money. Oh, I'll never be rich. What a lot of traditional or run-of-the-mill coaches will tell you is, well, just repeat to yourself the opposite, you know? I am a millionaire. I do make a ton of money. I am a millionaire. This can be effective, of course, if you just use repetition and do, what's it called? A mental diet. Mental diet is like whenever you catch yourself slipping or go back to the old thoughts of, I'll never be rich, you just snap out of it and say, no, I'm a millionaire, and then you kind of just overwrite or push the old limiting statement out of the way. That works to an extent for sure. But I feel like, especially with beginners, there is a higher danger of relapsing with that method, which, what do I mean by that? Okay, let me explain. When you just try to use brute force, right? Like, okay, I'm just gonna start telling myself, I'm a millionaire, over and over again. That's basically like you're writing an entirely new, a brand new line of code in your program, right? Which is fine. But the problem sometimes is that even though you have this new great shiny line of code that you maybe even managed to internalize to some extent, you will still probably, more likely than not, have that old code of I'm not wealthy, I'm not abundant, I'll never be rich, lurking in the shadows somewhere. You know what I mean? Maybe your new code is powerful enough to just overwrite the old code, but when you start to tackle bigger and bigger manifestations and moving higher and higher up in the levels, you might eventually encounter a situation where the old code wins out somehow, which is like not the end of it's not the end all be all, right? You can still, of course, you can still recode, you can still work on yourself to get past that. The huge advantage in using this and exercise, however, in my opinion at least, instead of adding an entirely new line of code that may or may not overwrite the old one permanently, you are literally taking the old code, deleting the negative parts of it that don't serve you, and then replacing it with parts that do serve you better. Do you know what I mean? I don't know, maybe I overthink things, or my mind is just very mathematical in that way, so just bear with me please with this programming analogy. But yeah, that's the reason why I personally like this and method or exercise so much, because it lets me know for sure that I didn't just slap a band-aid positive affirmation over my old limiting thoughts. I literally went in there and recoded the original code. Like, I did energetic plastic surgery on that bitch. And you can't reverse plastic surgery, you can only go over it with new surgeries. Also, the word and itself, I don't know about you, but for me, it just carries with it an energy of so much possibility and expansiveness. When you're at a restaurant with a friend, for example, and they're like, oh, I'll have the chicken fried rice set to the server or whoever is taking your order, and then that person's like, oh yes, one chicken fried rice set coming right up, and then they're about to leave the table, but your friend is like, wait, and I want to order something else. Don't you just find yourself like on the edge of your seat, even if it's just for a split second, right? And then you remember like, oh, it's just food, not a big deal. But in that moment, right, the moment when the word and is uttered, I feel like everyone, their ears just perk up in anticipation. Like the people at your table, the waiter, it's almost like an immediate trigger for your brain to all of a sudden imagine all of these new possibilities. Like, oh, what? She's gonna order something else? Is she gonna order dessert? Is she gonna get a fancy drink? What could it be? You know, like, I don't know about you, but I'm excited. Like, I want to know. Okay, circling back to my original point though, like I said, your only responsibility is to get the ball rolling, right, on your recoding manifestation journey. Just the act of you consciously deciding and making the effort to recode yourself by either writing it down or voicing it out, doesn't really matter how you do it, although I do highly recommend taking pen to paper and actually writing it out physically. Just this action alone will already start the process of reprogramming in your subconscious, and then all you have to do is hold it, okay? Like, hold the pose. Hold the new statement and the new belief that you've made for yourself until everything else catches up in your 3D reality. Take comfort in the fact that your subconscious will do the rest of the work for you. That's the beautiful part. It's kind of like you're the captain of a ship, right? I don't know what the technical term for it, but you know that how they turn that steering wheel thing in order to change the direction of the ship? Well, it doesn't happen immediately, right? The captain will turn the wheel, and then the ship usually takes several seconds, maybe even several minutes to orient itself to that new direction. But that's okay, because as long as the captain holds the position of that wheel in the direction that they want to go, unless they're like a total novice or something, which even if they are a novice, that's okay because they'll get used to it. But yeah, they're not gonna freak out just because the ship is not immediately changing direction the same second that they turn the wheel. No, they know that the rudder or whatever cogs underneath the ship are turning and doing their job. They trust the process that this ship is functioning well, you know, the mechanics are working the way that they're supposed to. They don't have to go down underwater and check up on the, you know, the mechanics of the ship. They're confident that things are going to work out, that they're going to change direction very soon, because that's their job as captain. It's the same thing in manifestation, okay? You are the captain of your own ship, your own life, and you're learning how to steer that steering wheel, which is your only role in this whole thing. And then let go. Let the ship, let the design of the whole thing take care of the rest. And the more you do it, the more inherently you begin to trust the process, because you've done it so many times before and it's been successful. The more fun you get to have, right? Getting to do it from a relaxed, excited and patient place. Okay, so that being said, let's finally get to this exercise. So this is how I want to do it. First, I want to say the original limiting belief, the old faulty line of code, and then I'm going to use the word and to flip that line, like the meaning, the energy, the whole thing on its head and turn it into a statement that is positive and beneficial to me. Then once you kind of get the point, I'm just going to go straight into my and statement. So I'm going to read you now my 20 personal statements that I wrote for this video. You can pause the video now and write down your own, or you can wait until I finish the entire video and then do the exercise by yourself. It's all up to you. Okay, number 1. I can't model because I'm too fat and short. No. Change to, I get to be an unconventional size or height and be a model. Number 2, I can't lose weight because I love food too much, and I'm not very disciplined, so even if I try to start a diet or intermittent fasting or something, I'll probably fail because I'm not disciplined. No, doesn't sound good, doesn't feel good. I get to love food and be disciplined. I have a little bit of an obsessive streak to my personality, which definitely food is not exempt from that. So you know what? I get to have my little obsessive personality trait and be disciplined and lose weight and not feel like I'm depriving myself of anything, all at the same damn time. I never have time for fun things. Like, I never have time for myself because I'm just so busy with work. I'm busy being a cat mom. I tire easily, blah, blah, blah. Instead, I get to fulfill my obligations, okay? Like, I will deal with whatever daytime job to pay my bills and also find a way to have fun. Actually, let's take it even further. I have to go to work, so I'll go to that 9-to-5 boring job that I don't necessarily like or feel passionate about, but I get to be there and I get to have fun while doing the job itself. I actually don't have to like wait it out, suffer through the whole 8-hour day, and then I only get to have fun at night. No, I'm gonna have fun right then and there, to the point where my coworkers and bosses actually start to get a little bit worried. Like, okay, what's wrong with this girl? Why is she always laughing hysterically and having so much fun at work? What is she on? I'm not on anything. It's just that I know that I get to have fun in my life. No matter what the physical circumstances of the moment are, even if they may not be the most ideal, like, yeah, I'm stuck at this job and I still get to have fun because that's my birthright. I get to drink bubble tea and leave out the tapioca pearls because I don't want the extra calories. So I'll just take the tea. I get to work in IT during the day and have hot girl hobbies during the night, such as pole dancing, because I like both. So why would I make myself choose? Why would I choose between this one and that one when I know that I can have both? I get to work in IT and be hot and be a baddie. I don't have to be that stereotypical like nerdy girl who wears glasses and doesn't wear makeup, doesn't care about her appearance. This is no shade, by the way, if that's the person that you truly are. More power to you. That's not who I am though. I like to be smart and intellectual, of course. I went to an Ivy League college, but I also like makeup and tight clothes and being flashy because I'm a Leo, Chinese zodiac, year of the snake. Slytherin, okay? So I get to work a nerdy, boring job and keep all of those aspects of my personality. I get to be, or I am, super nice, a genuinely sweet person as my baseline way of being, and I'm also a savage. Because I may be nice, but I'm not the one to try, okay? I get to be selfish AF and generous to my friends and loved ones. I get to like dogs and cats. And sharks. I really, really like sharks. Killer whales. Bunnies even. Yes, I get to like all the animals. I get to enjoy masculine and girly things, girly hobbies. Wear black and pink at the same time in your area. Makeup and cars. And hot sauce. I don't know. I get to enjoy it all. I get to like somebody, okay? I get to have a crush and still never chase a man because I'm the divine feminine. I don't chase ever. Ooh, okay, we're on number 12 and we're getting deep. I get to have monolids and wear dramatic, colorful, beautiful eyeshadow styles that you normally only see on people with very pronounced, bone structure and double eyelid folds. I have like super flat eyelids, barely there folds, and I get to do that too because I want to. And who says I can't? Ooh, we're getting into the savage spectrum here. Basically, whatever I decide or want, at the end of the day, I get to have it. Bitch. You can add the bitch at the end just to punctuate a little bit if that's your thing. I get to love certain people, like certain acquaintances and friends, at a distance, and also decide not to hang around them that much because I feel like their vibe is just a little too low for me. Like, sorry, I love you, but your limiting beliefs could be contagious, and so I just can't let that compromise my high vibes. and I don't feel bad about it. I get to follow people on Instagram and mute them because their posts annoy me. Again, I love them from afar, but nothing that they say really adds value to my life, so I get to mute them and they never have to find out, and I don't feel bad about it. Okay, these past three are kind of similar, but I reserve the right to cut someone off out of nowhere for something that they said that may not seem like a big deal to most people, but I didn't care for. So I get to revoke their access to me permanently or for the time being, and not feel bad about it because I have my sound reasons and I don't have to explain myself to anyone. I get to have an amazing relationship with my mom and dad, even though they're divorced, live in different countries, and I'm an only child, so it's like pretty stressful if I let it be to find time in my schedule to go visit both. But the thing is, I won't let it be a stressful thing, okay? I get to have this situation, you know, good or bad, with my parents and live the fullest life possible. Traveling to different countries all the time, seeing both my parents at least once a year. And because of this decision, I won't live with regret about not making more effort to see my parents while they were alive. I get to be in my 30s and start whatever new hobby or career that I want. Even those that are typically associated with younger demographics, I get to do it now because I want to, and I will. And the last one, number 20, this one is really intense. I'm gonna have to say it in a way so that YouTube doesn't flag me, but I feel like some of you out there really need to hear this, and feel free to borrow any of my words, any of my statements here if you feel like they resonate with you. Okay, so number 20. I get to survive SA and enjoy sex, because those things are not related. The first one where someone violated me against my will, and the second one where I choose to and I want to do that with someone that I actually love and trust, I get to enjoy that act fully without any shameful residue from the first incident. So I get to survive and then go on and enjoy that very thing that somebody used to hurt me in the past. Whew, okay, I got goosebumps at the last statement. I could go on and on. Seriously, like, this is so fun and life-giving for me. Writing it down pen to paper is definitely effective, but then hearing myself saying some of my personal statements out loud too, to all of you and for all of YouTube to hear, it's just like an extra layer of empowerment. Like, wow. Yeah, I need to take a moment. I highly recommend that you try out this exercise. You don't necessarily have to be like me and get on YouTube and broadcast your statements to everyone, but I strongly encourage you to at least write it down, pen to paper, get a cute notebook, right? Miffy never goes out of style. If you're a little bit stuck, like you're not really sure where to get started, first of all, don't overthink it, okay? Like, you don't have to do anything crazy. You heard one of my examples was about like drinking bubble tea and throwing away the tapioca pearls and not feeling bad about it. It can be as shallow or silly or deep as you want it to be. All of it serves the same purpose in the end, which is to expand your mind, okay? Removing your own limitations that you've placed on yourself. Actually, so what I'm going to do, I think I'm going to give you a couple of like templates that you can start with right now. I'm gonna put it on the screen. Just pick whichever one resonates the most or try out all of them. And then if you want to get really fancy with this, okay, so this is kind of like a bonus tip for you. Add on a because statement at the end of your and statement to justify it, if you will. Although, like, you don't have to justify anything to anyone, but I'll explain in a minute what I mean by this and why this is effective. For example, I get to not work and make money, okay, and make passive income because I'm a bad bitch. I'm a princess. I get to buy this super expensive pair of shoes and not feel guilty about it because I have the money to pay for it. I worked a lot of overtime last month and I have the funds. Or, you know, again, because I'm a bad bitch and this is what I deserve. So just like in those examples that I gave, you could give like an actual practical sounding reason, or the reason could literally just be because I said so. Because I'm me. Like, what?
Bitch, I'm me. 100 on the wrist, I ski. On the wall, I ski.
The reason that because followed by some sort of reason works so well is because our brains are subconsciously always searching for a reason or some sort of like explanation, some sort of justification. It's kind of like a defense mechanism almost, especially if you're trying to adopt a new belief system. Like, for example, if you've never bought a designer bag for yourself before and you suddenly get the urge to buy one, you start thinking to myself, you know what, I kind of want one of those now. I want to treat myself this year. What happens when you decide on some sort of new standard for yourself like that? A lot of times your pesky ego, or whatever you want to call it, that little voice pops up in your head and it says, hey, remember when you were that girl that didn't care about designer brands? Like, who are you trying to be now? Why do you think that you get to buy or own an expensive handbag all of a sudden? Like, what got into you?
The thing is, your ego thinks it's protecting you by doing this, by convincing you to, not go for the big change or upgrade, that you're already good where you are. So you should just stay put.
So this is a good tool. This is a good way to really check that voice right then and there. The moment it pops up in your mind, you can just put it right back in its place with because da-da-da. Doesn't even have to be a logical reason, just say something. So here goes your ego, right? Your self-sabotaging thoughts. Why do you all of a sudden want a $3,000 handbag? You're not a celebrity. You're not important enough to deserve such luxuries. How dare you? You should be spending your money more responsibly, blah, blah, blah. Who do you think you are? Why are you having these desires? Why? Because I said so, bitch. Yeah, that's exactly how you reply back to that voice. You want a reason so bad? Because I fucking said so. Bitch, I'm me. 100 on the wrist, I ski. Art on the wall, best ski. I'll stop. Because I said so. What's the ego's comeback to that? Nothing, okay? Trust me, that because ... is going to stop your ego dead in its tracks. It's gonna shut that self-doubting voice right up, and oh my god, it feels so good. I promise you. So as you can see, we're finally getting into the wrap up portion. The sky is the limit with this exercise, okay? Get as creative, as wild as you want. I mean, I just gave you kind of like the blueprint with a bunch of tips and examples on where to start. But honestly, guys, this exercise is so flexible. It can even be used in certain scenarios where it's like, say you actually do need to deny yourself something right now in service of something greater in the future. So like delayed gratification, basically. Maybe you want that expensive handbag, but you haven't quite manifested the funds yet. Maybe it really would be wiser or better for you in this moment to spend that money on rent, that type of situation. Well, instead of thinking, I can't buy this or I don't have enough money, what do I always say? Flip it around, right? I get to choose not to buy this item, handbag, right this second, and I'm fine with it, because I'm using my money for more important things at the moment. Or even, you know what, let's just be honest, right? Hey, I really do want this right now. Like, I wish I could just buy it right now, this second. And I'm also okay with waiting a little bit, because material possessions don't actually dictate my happiness. I want to eat right now, to be honest. I'm craving so many things. And you know what? I'm still gonna choose to wait until my intermittent fasting window is over, because I deserve to genuinely enjoy my food when I'm actually hungry and not have to feel bloated and gross afterwards. How you choose to frame any situation is what you get out of it. It is the literal difference between feeling restricted or feeling like you are in control. But you do have that option always to be in control, okay? You just have to choose to come from that empowered place, resist the urge to sink into the victim mindset. Even if you encounter a little hiccup, a little road bump here or there along the way, you can always choose back into being in control and empowered, okay? Literally in the next moment. Don't forget that. That's all I have for you guys today. No, literally, this is all my voice can take. Like, honestly, I'm shocked that sounds are still coming out. If you don't mind, please share some of your and statements down below. I would love to read them down in the comments. Doesn't have to be super personal. Of course, you can share a lighter or funnier one, like my example with the bubble tea and tapioca pearls. But I'm so curious and excited to hear some of your personal statements, if you wouldn't mind. And I really want us to all encourage each other on this journey together. Thank you so much for watching as usual, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!